Hi everyone, my name is Annie, and if you're new here, this is the Happy as Annie YouTube channel all about tarot. And today we are talking about tarot myths. I'm going to talk about the 5 most annoying and false myths about reading tarot.
Welcome to the Happy as Annie YouTube channel. Let's talk about tarot.
Let's get right into it. Tarot myth number 1. You can't buy your own tarot deck. It needs to be gifted to you. This is false. I think the myth that you can't buy your own tarot deck is just straight up gatekeeping, which unfortunately happens a lot in witchcraft, sacred practices, or any special kind of art or skill like that. People that do it historically or even now, or want to limit the fakers or too many people from doing it. They don't want it to become mainstream, so there are little superstitions and traditions in place that have carried over even today that try to limit who gets to read tarot cards. And I think the myth that you cannot buy your own tarot card is one of those. In fact, another version of this myth I've heard is that not only can you not buy your own tarot card, but you must be gifted your tarot cards from another reader or a healer. I'm busting this myth right now. Go buy your own tarot cards. It's really important that you buy a deck that you want and that you like and that you connect with. So if you're not allowed to go buy your own deck, you might end up with one you don't even like. Okay, let's move on to the next myth. Tarot myth number 2 is one that I believed for a long time. It is that you must be psychic to read tarot cards. This is not true, and I'm going to bust the myths that I think need to be busted if that means bringing tarot and self-discovery and intuitive living to more people. You do not have to be psychic to read tarot cards. In fact, I think every single person is intuitive. Now, a lot of people use those terms as synonyms, which is why I think this myth is still being perpetuated. People call themselves psychic or intuitives, like using it as a noun. I think every single human has intuition. In modern society, we're not really taught to develop our intuition or listen to it. Our society is way more science, evidence, and rationality based. So I think some people think that you have to be weird or special or gifted to have intuition. And I don't think that's true. All of us have intuition. We are tapped into it at different levels. Some people are better at recognizing their intuition, and some other people are very repressed when it comes to listening and trusting their intuition. However, everyone can learn to read tarot cards. Another thing about myth number 2 is just how our culture or Hollywood has depicted tarot card readers and fortune tellers and the bejeweled women sitting over the crystal ball, right? That's just kind of like a cultural phenomenon. Tarot cards have just become this tool or symbol for a fortune teller or a psychic medium or something like that. So I think it's easy to just assume that they're one and the same, or assume that you need to be psychic to read tarot cards. Now, I don't think I'm psychic. I think that's pretty obvious from how I talk about tarot. I'm not trying to say that psychics don't exist. I'm not going to go that far. I just know that I'm not psychic. And I'm sure if you are psychic, you probably read tarot cards really easily. It also makes me think, if you're psychic, why do you need tarot cards? But I don't really know a lot about that. All I do know is that I know many people, including myself, that read tarot cards well and understand them and are 100% not psychic. Tarot myth number 3. You can't read tarot cards for yourself. Now, I in fact heard this myth repeated as fact in a tarot reading workshop. Someone else in the workshop asked, I've heard that you can't read tarot for yourself. What do you think? And she said, oh yeah, of course not. You absolutely can't read tarot cards for yourself. How would that even work? And she completely shut it down. And I kid you not, I paid money for this workshop. I love hearing what other people think about tarot and how other people use tarot, which is why I go to these workshops, so I can learn different techniques and just kind of hear people talk about tarot because I love it so much. But as soon as she said that, I was like, wrong, I'm out. You absolutely can read tarot for yourself. It's not always easy. However, it can be done. My entire journey with tarot cards began and still primarily is working with tarot as a tool for self-discovery and as a tool for tapping into my intuition and getting out of my head and getting out of my ego and anxiety and insecurity. And those types of things, anxiety, doubt, fear, insecurity, are exactly the things that make tarot reading for yourself difficult. This is a myth, but there can be some truth to it. I think the reason why people say you can't read tarot cards for yourself is precisely because it's so hard to be objective. You might ask a question and your ego really wants to hear a certain answer, right? But then you pull a card that is completely anti the answer you wanted to hear. Now that's where the discipline comes in. Do you go, oh, that wasn't right, and put the card back in and keep pulling cards till you get the one you want? I mean, sure, if that's your idea of reading tarot, then there's truth to this myth. You can't read tarot for yourself. But I think it's absolutely possible. And some people completely rule it out and think that no, it's completely absurd to attempt to read tarot for yourself. And I don't believe that, which is why it is myth number 3. Now, speaking of getting cards you don't like, let's talk about the 4th myth about tarot reading. There are bad tarot cards. This is a tough one, but I'm gonna go ahead and call this a myth and say there are no bad tarot cards. Now, as soon as I said bad tarot cards, I bet you thought of what you think are the bad tarot cards. The Tower still freaks me the fuck out, I can tell you that. The Death card is a bad card for a lot of people. The 9 of Swords, 10 of Swords, 3 of Swords, hell, all the fucking swords can be considered bad cards. However, here's why this is a myth. All the tarot does is mirror what you're thinking and feeling and potential paths that you're going down. The tarot always has your highest good and the best for everyone in mind. So in that sense, how can any card be bad? I think we think it's bad when it is against our ego's want. That's when we go, oh no, I pulled a bad card because it's not what I wanted the tarot cards to say. But if you think about it as being guidance for you to live your best life, then how can those cards be bad? So I say this because there's a lot of anxiety around cards like the Tower, if you're me, or the 10 of Swords or the 3 of Swords. Cards like that scare people, and sometimes we have a lot of anxiety and we don't want to do a reading because we're afraid of those bad cards coming up. So I guess busting this 4th tarot myth is meant to reassure you that the messages that you get from your tarot cards are always going to be helpful. And finally, possibly the most annoying myth to hear, which I hear the most often from my Christian family members. Myth number 5 about reading tarot cards. Tarot cards are evil. You will go to hell if you read tarot cards. That I can't universally say it's a myth, because what do I know? Maybe we will all burn in hell for reading tarot cards. I mean, how am I gonna know that for sure, right? However, the stereotypical belief that tarot cards are evil or that you are somehow tapping into satanic or evil spirits which are telling you the future through these evil cards, that part is the myth I'm talking about. I don't think you're inviting negative forces into your home by reading tarot cards. That's one I hear a lot. How do I make sure I'm not opening my home to evil spirits when I read the tarot cards? I don't think that's what's happening. I don't think you're inviting any spirits. I don't think tarot cards are a vehicle or a medium for communing with ghosts. I know people think that, so I don't want to be insulting or dismissive of it. Like I said before, there are various ways to think of like what exactly is happening when you're reading tarot cards. You know, like who's compelling you to pick certain cards? What exactly is communicating to you? I think it's your higher self. I think it's your own intuition. Another way I think about it is I think it's like spirit in general, like the universe. In that sense, you can even think of it as God, if that makes sense to you and resonates with you. So I don't want to dismiss various beliefs, but I don't think tarot card reading is inherently evil. A lot of people say, especially a lot of Christian people, I guess Jewish people too could say this because it's in the Old Testament, which they also have. It's against the Bible to read tarot cards. So the part about tarot cards being evil being in the Bible is actually from Leviticus, and they don't say tarot cards, they say fortune telling or divination. Those are the supposedly evil things that are against like God's wishes. And here's my response to that, which I've said in previous videos as well. I don't think tarot reading is fortune telling. I don't consider it divination. Now that's a pretty controversial statement right there too, because a lot of people put tarot cards under the umbrella of divination. I don't do that because I don't think I'm fortune telling. I don't ask the tarot what's going to happen to me. I ask the tarot, what am I feeling about this? What are the current energies around this? Anytime I'm asking about a future event, I don't say what will happen. I say what may happen, or what is a likely outcome given the current energies or the current direction I'm going in, or something like that. So in that sense, you could agree and say, yes, I agree that divination is forbidden in the Bible. However, this is not divination, so you can relax about that. My real advice is don't engage in those conversations. I certainly don't. All right, that was the last of my 5 myths. Right, to recap, here are the 5 tarot myths that you can stop believing now if you want to. Myth number 1, you cannot buy your own tarot cards. False. Go ahead and pick out the cards that speak to you. Myth number 2, you must be psychic to read tarot cards. False. Everyone has a degree of intuition in them, and tarot cards help anybody and everybody willing to put the work in. Myth number 3, you cannot read tarot cards for yourself. False. I do it all the time. Myth number 4, there are bad tarot cards. Not necessarily. Any card can be a bad tarot card, but every card can also be a good tarot card. And 5, tarot is evil. You're not going to be attacked by evil spirits because you opened a deck of cards. So don't be scared about that. If you liked this chatty video, let me know in the comments below and hit the thumbs up button. Please also make sure to subscribe to this channel so you're notified of future videos headed your way. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.